Hello, boys and girls. Mr. Pals here. So nice to see you. I have a bright orange shirt on for you today. And it says a 68 mine openers. And it says PS 68. Because before I came to Middletown, I used to teach in the Bronx. Now, the Bronx is one of the boroughs in New York City. So we have the Bronx, we have Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, and Manhattan. There's 5 boroughs. And some say the Bronx is the toughest. Maybe it's the smartest too. I have a great story for you today. We're going to read another text. We're going to do a close read. We're going to talk about the text, and then we're going to look back into the text to find answers. Remember, we got to have details to support our answers. Now, this story is called Teeny Tiny Tardigrades. Okay. What would you say if someone asked you to name Earth's toughest survivor? Camels can go a week without drinking. A cockroach can survive more radiation than a person, but there is a teeny tiny creature that can go without food or water for years. It's so small that it can be seen only under a microscope. Its real name is tardigrade. Most people call it water bear. We got a heading: surviving everything. Water bears look like soft, squishy bugs. People call them bears because they walk the way bears do. Most water bears are smaller than the period at the end of the sentence. Don't let their size fool you. They are found in places that would kill most living things. There's an expression for that. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. So even though they're little, they can still be tough. Okay. Paragraph 3. Some water bears survive in the boiling water found in hot springs. Others live miles below the ocean surface. They survive with tons of water pressing down on them. Paragraph 4. Not all water bears live in extreme places. They can be found in parks, forests, and gardens. They thrive in damp, woody areas where mosses and other plant life grow. Many feed by sucking up juices out of plants. Others eat creatures that are smaller than they are. All right, and we have a caption here, guys. So that's our water bear, also known as a tardigrade. That's what he looks like under a microscope. A tardigrade photographed under a microscope. Well, there you go. That's the heading. All right, here we go. That's the caption. Now we got a heading here: drying up. Water bears must have water to stay active. It helps them eat, move, and breathe. So what happens when the water around one of these tiny creatures dries up? First, it pulls in its 8 legs. Then it curls its body into a barrel shape called a tun. It loses 99% of its water. Then every single life function of the water bear stops. When conditions get better, the water bear stretches its little legs and starts moving and eating again. Fascinating. There is more. Paragraph 7. Water bears can survive the extreme cold and radiation of outer space. Scientists sent some water bears into space as part of an unmanned mission. They came back fine. Not so long ago, most scientists believed life did not exist beyond Earth. Not many think it is possible. Now, many think it's possible. If water bears can survive a visit to outer space, who knows what other creatures might live there? I've always had that thought too, like Earth is part of the Milky Way galaxy, and the furthest we've gone is Mars. Like we've seen Mars. So there's other planets that we haven't explored in our galaxy, and there's many galaxies in space. So who knows what's out there? All right, let's get to some questions. Number 1. Which question can be answered by reading paragraph 2? All right, let's just go back to paragraph 2 and review this paragraph because we want to find out what paragraph 2 is about, and we want to find the main idea of paragraph 2, and that will help us in choosing the right answer. Here it is. Water bears look like soft, squishy bugs. People call them bears because they walk the way bears do. Most water bears are smaller than the period at the end of the sentence. Don't let their size fool you. They are found in places that would kill most living things. So what do you guys think is the main idea of paragraph 2? Okay, me too. I'm thinking it's the appearance of the bear because it's saying that they look like soft, squishy bugs. And people call them bears because they walk the way bears do. So we can see a visual that they're walking like a bear. They're squishy bugs. They're smaller than the period in the sentence. Okay, now with that information, let's look at the answer choices. Number 1. A. How long can a camel go without water? No. B. Why do people call tardigrades water bears? I like that one, but let's still read all the answer choices. So B will go with a maybe. It's looking good. Number 3. Where do water bears live? Well, they don't actually talk about their habitat, just their appearance. So let's get rid of C. And D. How do water bears eat? And again, they don't talk about their diet either. So choice 1, B. Absolutely. And what we're doing here, boys and girls, is called process of elimination. We're finding the best answer choice and explaining our reasoning for it. I always tell my students on a state test that you can write all over it. So what I would do is I would put a line through A, a line through C, a line through D, and just circle B to show that I've thought this one through. All right, let's go to question 2. What happens when a tardigrade doesn't have any water? All right, again, I know some of us have great memories, but I still want to go back into the text to find out what happens to a tardigrade when it doesn't have any water. Now let's look back into here. Where was the paragraph where I talked about that they didn't have any water? Okay, I see it. See the heading says drying up? Headings are very helpful in that way because when I was thinking about they didn't have water, it'd be dry. So paragraph 5. Water bears must have water to stay active. It helps them eat, move, and breathe. So what happens when the water around one of these tiny creatures dries up? First, it pulls its 8 legs in. Then it curls its body into a barrel shape called a tun. It loses 99% of its water. Then every single life function of the water bear stops. All right, now we can look at the answer choices. So what happens when a tardigrade doesn't have any water? A, it turns into a barrel shape called a tun. Now, right off the bat, I'm loving A. If I had a state test right now, I'd be circling that. But I still want to read the other answer choices. B, it sucks the juices out of plants. Nope, didn't even mention that. Cross it out. C, it finds a damp, woody area to live. Nope, didn't say that either. Scratch that one out too. And then D, it stretches out its 8 legs. And cross out D, it's the opposite. As she said that it brings its 8 legs in. So number 2, choice A, absolutely circle it. We got it. All right, move on to the next questions. We are being private iguana. We are finding the correct answer choices, and we're doing a great job. And this is what you want to do. I tell my students this too. With state tests, they're not even timed anymore. So you can have this thought process with each passage and just take your time, do process elimination, think it through, look back into the text for the answers because there's no rush. And I tell students like, well, Mr. Palace, what if we go to lunch? Well, what happens on a test is they'll pause the test. You go to lunch, you go to recess, and when you come back, you can get back to your test. So don't worry about finishing and rushing to finish. Just take your time and make sure you get the answer choice correct. All right, number 3. Read these sentences from the passage. Okay, they actually gave us a sentence, so we don't have to go back. We just got to analyze this sentence. The sentence is, water bears must have water to stay active. It helps them eat, move, and breathe. So this is the most important sentence right there. You want to read this a couple times, so I'll read it again. Water bears must have water to stay active. It helps them eat, move, and breathe. Now, with that sentence, boys and girls, I'm going to read all the answer choices, and I want you to tell me if it's going to be A, B, C, or D. You ready? A, how long can a water bear survive without water? B, what food do water bears eat? C, where do water bears get their water? D, why is water important to water bears? Wait, tell me if it's A, B, C, or D. Okay, I agree. It's choice D. Why is water important to water bears? Because we read it again, it says water bears must have water to stay active. So if they don't have water, they can't be active and they can't move around. It helps them eat, move, and breathe. So D is the best answer choice. All right, number 4, and I like these. These are short answer response. And these we have to go back into the text and prove our thinking. Number 4, how have water bears helped scientists change their mind about life in outer space? Use 2 details from the text to support your answer. Now, when they say use 2 details from the text, that means Excuse me. That means you have to find 2 sentences that support your answer. So let me read this again. How have water bears helped scientists change their mind about life in outer space? So my first sentence would be, water bears have helped scientists learn about life in outer space. And then I would go back into the text to support my answer, because they have. So let's go back and let's look where it said, the water bears were sent to outer space. What paragraph was that? Okay, that's about the water bear. Here we are, paragraph 7 and 8. Water bears can survive the extreme cold and radiation of outer space. Scientists sent some water bears into space as part of an unmanned mission. They came back fine. Not so long ago, most scientists believed life did not exist beyond Earth. Now many think it's possible. If water bears can survive a visit to outer space, who knows what other creatures might live there. So I read this paragraph again, and again, multiple times reading these paragraphs, but this is good because you're really trying to understand this text on a deeper level. And I always tell my students, whatever passage you're reading, you want to make sure you know it so well, so when you go home at night, you're telling your parents all about it. You've learned so much. So let's go back. What was the question asking us? I'll make sure we're answering this correctly. How have water bears helped scientists change their mind about life in outer space? Okay, let me come with 2 details. So we said that water bears have helped scientists learn a lot. Now let's find some sentences to support an answer. Now let's look at the first sentence of paragraph 7. Water bears can survive the extreme cold and radiation of outer space. So we've learned that they can still survive even though there's no heat, it's very cold, and the radiation from outer space. Boom, that's one detail. Let's look for another one. Oh, here we go. Paragraph 8, first sentence. Not so long ago, most scientists believed life did not exist beyond Earth. Now, many think it's possible. So that would be another detail. Whereas scientists thought the only life was on planet Earth, we're finding out that the water bear can survive in outer space with the cold weather, with the radiation. So if they can survive in outer space, maybe other creatures can too. So those are our 2 examples from the text. Okay? And that would give us a 4. So you want to go back into the text. You want to, prove your answers. You want to justify it, and you want to make sure you're getting maximum points, okay? So really going back into the text, doing a really good job with that, boys and girls. It's really important, okay? And it's okay to enjoy these stories. When I read the story, the first time I'm kind of just finding the layout of the text, seeing what the words are, getting some ideas. But then as we read the questions, I'm really going back into the text, and now I'm thinking about it, and I'm having a conversation about it. As I said, if there's a paper, I'm writing on it. I'm crossing out the wrong answers, circling the right answers. And most importantly, remember, it's not timed. So you have as much time as you need, and take that time, okay? So I hope you enjoy the story about the tardigrade, the water bear, all right? And we're going to be learning a lot more. All right, boys and girls, I'll talk to you soon.